Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Denise Hutchison. I'm with BizNet Software, and I want to thank you for joining our webinar today. Today, our focus is going to be showcasing our pre-built Excel-based reporting for SYSPRO. So we'll take about 45 minutes or so and allow some time for Q&A at the end. We're going to just kind of review some of the typical reporting challenges very briefly that most companies experience. Talk about our approach to solving those solutions, and the majority of the time will be spent in the demonstration. We'll look at our financial reporting integration, the operational reporting capabilities. We'll actually build a few reports, and then wrap it up with the broadcast capabilities of our solution. And then lastly, the licensing. So I've got a lot to cover, and hopefully we can do all of that in the time allotted. So just a little background on our company. For those of you not familiar with BizNet, been around since 1996. We are a global company servicing the SMB market space, and so we have very strong presence. Our focus has been Excel-based reporting in that time frame. So the dynamics going on in the marketplace today have really changed over the last couple of years. There's no longer a single ERP solution where all the data resides. We're experiencing a data explosion, meaning data is now everywhere. And the data is only getting larger and more complex. So you see data in the cloud, it's in various databases, and even in Excel. So the challenges of getting access to information on a timely basis is only growing. And so the approach that many companies have tried to tackle the problem is they've got various solutions. They're all very specific in nature in terms of the problem addressed. And they're all very, very good tools. And our approach is to really fill those reporting gaps. What people find is that in all these applications, there is still a need to export data to Excel to get that information quickly. So think of the approach we're going to look at today as a complementary approach. Certainly looking to displays is not what we do, but what we do well is allowing you to get access to information easily, quickly, simply, and consolidate information from a variety of sources all in Excel. So why do people export to Excel? Well, on average, we've surveyed it's at least 20 hours per person per month, and some people feel that's very conservative, but basically it's a very manual, repetitive process. And why do people do that? Because basically, again, the ability to reporting requirements change, they need access to information, and the time is well worth it, must be. So let's take a look at how we can solve that, eliminate that time-consuming process that's spent in so many companies on a regular basis. So with the BizNet solution, our focus has been to connect you to your data no matter where the data is, be able to spend more time analyzing that data than aggregating it, and then the ability to easily collaborate and share that information once gathered and analyzed. So that's really what we're going to be looking at today. We have the pre-built connections to SYSPRO, and the ability to, you'll see it's extremely flexible. So even though it is pre-built, in terms of our connectors, you'll see you can build absolutely any kind of connection you want very, very simply. So that's our Biz Connectors capability. And then through the BizInsight, it's our reporting engine that allows you to analyze information all in Excel. And lastly, the Biz Broadcast, which is our broadcast capability to distribute and publish reports very easily. So let's take a look at the product itself. So as you can see, our interface is Excel. So as a BizNet user, the name of our solution is BizInsight. You'll simply open up Excel, probably like you do every day, and the product is automatically launched on demand. So you can see here the navigation pane on the right, and you can access it in a couple of ways. You can click on the nav bar and access the elements, as we'll go through in a minute. or you can have it permanently exposed. So let's take a look at, this is what in this navigation pane you're looking at right now is the pre-built components. So there are several templates. In fact, most of the reports you're going to see today are pre-built reporting templates. So we're going to go through as many of these as we can, but you can see there's quite a few here. So we'll be focusing on the financial reporting. We'll look at some sales analysis and some inventory reports. But these are the pre-built connectors, and you'll see there's quite a bit here in terms of what you can just get access to just out of the box. So as you build reports, which we're going to actually go through in a minute, they're added here to this navigation pane. So you can kind of right-click on the node and easily organize these reports to your needs. So users open up Excel. Let's say I want to access this financial reporting book. I'm just simply going to rehydrate the formulas, and I've got a refreshed report. Now, just like any other normal Excel workbook, it can be a single tab or it can be comprised of a whole series of tabs with different reports in each. So again, it's your preference. But these are interactive reports, so you can see here I've got what we call report parameters. So in this report I can look at various companies, different years, and I can look at different segments. So I can look at all regions, an individual region, or any roll-up or grouping. Easily reformatted, so I can kind of reformat this trend and extend my columns accordingly. So very, very easy to do. You can drill down on any one of these cells very easily simply by right-clicking on the cell and drilling down into a table or pivot format, which we'll do here in a little bit. So again, we're kind of looking at various formats of the same P&L. We can look at a quarter, a rolling quarter, a rolling 12-month trend. So again, lots of different ways to represent the same report. And the nice thing about Excel is we can start adding charts and graphs for a graphical visualization of the data. So kind of looking at a consolidation report, I'm going to just walk through several report types here, and just to kind of give you a sense of the flexibility. Consolidating entities is one of our strengths. So again, because this is Excel, anything can be in the row or the column. So in this report, we've got our company codes. In the previous report, you saw the periods in the columns, trending report. But we could have departments, and they could be in the columns or nested in the rows. Really, any way you want to lay it out is Excel. So we don't have any column or row limitations. And again, where our strength lies is where you're trying to consolidate entities where you have different chart structures, fiscal calendars, base currencies. We can do that extremely easily in the same report. So we won't go through consolidations, but again, just keep in mind that is really something we can easily do. This is kind of looking at a comparative expense analysis by region. Again, you know, pretty easy to do. So you can create any number of report parameters here. Kind of got traditional balance sheet, cash flows. These are all standard templates, report templates that you can leverage. One of the nice things about the BizInsight solution is the fact that it is native to Excel. So whether you want to start with one of our templates, a great starting point is taking your existing Excel spreadsheets and simply we can leverage those formats. We don't have to change any of the Excel functions or formulas, and we simply connect your system to those formats to make them an interactive linked report. Here's a budget to actual report example. So again, lots of different ways to actually get started using either your existing reports or our pre-built templates. So what I want to do at this point is build a very simple report to illustrate just how easy it's going to be for you to connect your SYSPRO data to your Excel templates. So let's take a look at maybe a simple expense analysis report here, and we're going to just do kind of a month-to-date comparison. And we're going to create our report parameters, and these parameters again are how you want your users to change the view. So we're going to come over here and we're going to build out this report. One of the things that I want to share with you briefly is the BizInsight tab on this navigation pane is the pre-built components, and we're going to walk through several of the pre-built connectors. But notice this Biz Properties tab here. And a property in our nomenclature is really anything that is user-defined. And there's lots of different types of properties, and I'll briefly describe this, but it's going to be anything you want to use repetitively from report to report that you want to maintain once. So obviously your financial report structures, you want to be able to add an account, expense line item. You can define property so you can update that property list one place and have all of your reports automatically updated. Maybe even things like a fiscal year, fiscal period. I can update the current fiscal period so that every worksheet and every workbook that's opened up is sitting at the current period. So just some examples of user-defined properties. So taking our master list from our pre-built connectors and basically building your own dynamic sub-list, if you think of it that way, as one use of property. So let's go ahead and we're going to, and I'll show you just how easy it is to build these sub-lists, by the way. We're going to actually do a little bit of that. So I'm going to drag first off the property year here. We'll drag that, keeping it as a formula. We'll keep it linked. I drag in my period, and we're just going to start adding these report parameters. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my expense list. I called it expenses. I'm going to drag in that list. And it's going to bring in my expense list here. And again, we've got very simple format here, single accounts, but keep in mind these line items can be varied and as complex as your requirements dictate. So each line item could look very different. It's pretty typical. Maybe this is a single account. This might be a non-contiguous list. There could be multiple ranges with additions or exclusions to those ranges. So again, we support any kind of complex format or expression. So we've kind of laid out this format. I'm going to go ahead and hide this header here. There's a parameter to actually let that actually be eliminated on refresh, but we're just going to hide it at this point. And now we're ready to connect our data. So using our pre-built function set, as you can see here, we have the ability to connect our data through these pre-built connectors. And I'm going to walk through this list a little bit. So in our pre-built connectors, you can see how they're grouped. We can pull in balances, budget data, transaction detail, and we can pull in just lists. So these little table grids here gives you, I can just bring in a list of my period balances. And the little guys here with the capes are our pre-built functions. And we also, you have the ability to define very easily, which we're going to do, any of your own sub-lists and functions that can be added to the nav pane. But in the financial reporting, these are pre-built just as an easy way to get started. So we're going to drag the month-to-date net balance function. You can see I can do quarter-to-date, year-to-date, and we're connected. Okay, so this is our query tool, and again, it's got pre-built arguments for you to get started. So one of the things you're going to see here is the ability. Table is what we call a list, and we have functions or super functions. Now it says, where's your data? Well, we're pulling from SYSPRO, but one of the things you can do is use this same query tool to actually, for any data from any other application, export it to Excel in the same way. The difference is that this is automatically refreshed. This would just have to be a re-export of that data, but you wouldn't have to re-aggregate or rebuild the report, and I can have the same kind of UI, using the same query tool. The other option where we'll be going later this year will be cloud. So you might have data in the cloud. So the ability to pull from data, whether it's in Excel or other connectors or SYSPRO, is something that you can extend this to. So what do you want the function to do? It's already set for some, and you'll see you have the ability to do lots of different actions. So this is already pre-built for you. So we're going to go ahead and fill out these arguments. So the little grid is our ability to do cell referencing, or I can hard code in this white block here. But I'm going to want to, for the most part, reference cells so that I can change it easily. So we're going to go ahead and reference that cell. Here's our company code. I want to reference the cell that contains my fiscal year, Same with my fiscal period. Now we're going to add a filter here because what I want to be able to do is not get a month-to-date net return for all accounts. I want to put out referencing my segment. In this case, my segment 2 is my natural account. Equal to, you can see you have lots of different operations. The first natural account or GL account, I'm going to use the function for key to anchor this for the column. I'm not going to add any other filters at this point. And notice this save query, I can save that to the nav pane, which we'll do in a later demonstration. But at this point, I'm going to click OK, and we're going to put the result of that month-to-date function there. And I'm just going to double-click to fill down, and it's going to aggregate these numbers for me. And as soon as I do that, that's a one-time process. This report is now current. And as soon as I add my own functions, we can drill and see the results. Now what's nice is I can also not only create all of my own, any functions that I want, but I can also leverage all of the great functions that Excel affords me. So we can actually do the exact same thing here by dragging in the year-to-date net function. It would be the exact same process, and I'm not going to do that. But I can see I can pull and post it. So these are all of the pre-built functions that you have. One of the things I want to do is kind of move over to the operational side and just show you not only just the flexibility of what you can build, but you can see here there's just a lot of functionality here in connectors. So let's kind of look outside of the GL for a minute and come back over to some of our report books. So we're going to come over here, and I want to just share with you some of the pre-built reports that we have. And in the sales side, you can see here we've got a little scorecard. We can do some aging reports. So this is not only looking back, but we can also look at forecasted aging, looking forward. And again, this is one of our templates. We've got some sales analysis by salesperson and some rankings. So again, all interactive and all with drill down. So we can look at our sales analysis by salesperson or customer, item, lots of different ways, sales order by customer. So again, just lots of different ways to look at this and do sales analysis. This is a sales commission report, and again, just some of the standard templates. There's nothing for that particular person. Okay, so you can kind of see here just a lot out of the box that you can leverage. But we're going to actually build some reports from scratch as well. So you've got just the similar types of reports on the expense side. And we're going to kind of look and go over to the inventory side here. So I'm going to just drag and drop this report in. And again, we're going to hydrate the report and just refresh our little graphics here. So I'm going to take a minute to do that. Now there's a couple of things here. You're seeing me recalculate functions, and that just rehydrates the formulas. There's an option up here you'll see, if you'll notice, it's refresh workbooks. And that's a total refresh. That will actually refresh your lists, which are dynamic, so it'll refresh the functions. It does a lot of actions, actually more than that. So it's a complete kind of refreshing of the entire workbook, and it does lots of different things. So again, any of the lists that you create in your reports are all dynamic lists. So kind of one of the challenges you have with static sheets. So this is, again, some of the standard inventory reports. And you can see here all of the different templates that are provided out of the box for you to leverage. So a really complete working system. But the ability to build your own reports from these connectors is one of the things I really want to show you here in a minute. But again, creating any number of additional parameters could be easily done to any of these existing report templates, as you'll see. So even though we have like just product line here, you could actually come back in and add warehouse or anything you wanted very, very easily. So we're going to look at various reports here, item by warehouse, with the valuation. But let's just do some ad hoc reporting, because it's great to look at standard reports, but let's actually build some reports. So I want to do a quick customer analysis, a little differently than what I have here. So let's go over to the query tool. So keeping in mind that what the query tool allows us to do is build any list or function or super function from our connectors, or actually from data, but we're going to do it from SYSPRO because it's probably what everybody here would probably primarily do. So we're going to first bring in a list of our customers, for example. So once I select SYSPRO, these are all of the connectors. So what do I want to pull from? Well, we're going to actually start from, I'm just going to come down here and pull from the invoice header detail. So one of the things that we have the ability to do is filter on the columns, and we can filter on the rows, which I'll show you in a minute. So these are all of the arguments or columns in this table, and I can now select on what I want to bring in. Well, I really just want to bring in the customer name. I'll just go ahead and bring in the customer number. And so I have the ability to filter. I want it to be a distinct list at this point, and I'm going to pull from company 0. Now I'm not going to add any other filters. I could sub-filter that list, but we're just going to bring in all customers. And I'm going to put that list, let's just go ahead and put it there. Okay? So that's our sub-list. Now keep in mind that I could save that query and start creating all of my sub-lists here, and that's going to show up, and we'll do one here under my queries. So everything I'm doing, I can do once and define once, and so not only do we have our pre-built connectors, you start building all of your own lists and super functions that you can drag and drop into future reports, which is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and build just, let's get the sales analysis here. So I want to look at the dollars sold by these customers. Now I'm not going to filter on year or anything else. We'll just keep it simple. We come back over here now and create a super function. And I'm going to pull from the same table. But the nice thing is that in the same spreadsheet, actually in every column or cell, technically, I could pull from any number of tables in the same spreadsheet, which is pretty cool. We're going to pull, though, from the same table. I want the function to calculate a sum. But notice it can give me a return a min value, a max value, calculate an average, give me a count. So a lot of different operations that I can have it perform for me very easily. And to do this manually, which you'll see here in a minute when we start looking at maybe calculating average sales, I can do it in a couple of minutes, which might take me much longer if I was having to do that in Excel manually. So we're going to calculate a sum. What do I want to sum? I want to sum invoice amount, again from our company 0, but in this case I'm going to add a filter. And we're going to filter by customer, equal to, and again I want to reference my cell, and I'm going to hit the function for key to anchor for the column. Click OK. Not going to add any other filters, and now I can save this query if I want to, and maybe we'll just do that. Give it a name. This is my customer analysis. And I'm going to save that. And we're going to go ahead and I'll just, I have customer count there a couple times. We're going to delete that. I'm going to drag that in. We just created that function. So now I can just fill it in and have that before. And come back over here. And again, anchor for my column. And that's going to give me my total invoice amount by customer. And we've got all, again, of our normal Excel formatting. I'm just going to double click to fill down. And we just created this quick customer sales analysis, and I have all the drill down capability. And what's really nice about this is that I have all of these functions that I can generate, but I can also leverage all of the great things that Excel affords us. So if I wanted to now create a rankings, well, there's a great Excel function, oops, not called rank, but rank, that allows that we can use. So I'm going to anchor for the column here. I want to rank each customer against the total list of customers. So the combination of being able to build your super functions and leverage all of the functions in Excel is pretty cool. So, okay, so I don't know what's giving me that, but we'll just delete it. Okay, so there's my ranking function, and we did that in very short order. If I basically have the ability to do any kind of ad hoc reporting. You know, maybe a simple question that you might get asked, maybe the CEO of the company or the VP of sales or something wants to kind of understand what the current average sale is. In previous systems, to be able to count customers, I had to get a list of customers, make sure it's a distinct count, and, you know, calculating total revenue is probably pretty easy, and calculating average, and that average could be changing on a regular basis. We can now do that very easily, and that is always going to be accurate when we open up this, this query. So let's go ahead and create a super function. If I wanted to answer that question, again, I'll just go ahead and pull from the same table, but in this case we want the function to do a count, want it to be a distinct count. What do I want to count? We're going to go ahead and count customers, and I'm going to go ahead and delete the filter, click OK, and we'll just put the function there. Got 15 customers. Let's go ahead and create another super function, just giving me back the total invoice amount. Okay, and now we can easily calculate an average. So you can see that took a very short amount of time to come up with that average sale. Now, one of the things that we can do is, again, save the function. We can copy and paste the function even if I wanted to, even not save it temporarily. But what if I wanted to say, you know what, how many of those customers sold less than, let's just put in a parameter of 50,000. I can always open up that function, add any filter at any time. That's why all of our templates, you can come back in and just add additional parameters. So let's add in where invoice amount was less than my 50,000. Click OK. We'll put the function there. Okay, and I can just change that parameter now. So, you know, hopefully you can see the flexibility and the power. So there's a lot of pre-built components, but the ability for you to create any of your sub lists and super functions and you know, save those. So again, it's a one-time process. Let's kind of look over at doing some ad hoc reporting on the inventory side. So I want to maybe do a quick analysis of my stock codes. So let's go ahead and you can delete those or just completely clear everything through the start over option here. Hopefully you can see that. So we're going to first again build a table, and we're going to pull, right now I'm going to pull from two tables because I want the stock description. So I'm going to pull from the inventory file, and again I'm just going to select the stock code and the stock description. I want it to be a distinct list, and again we're going to pull from company 0. And this time though, unlike pulling all customers, I've got way too many stock codes. I'm not really interested in looking at all stock codes. I really want to just add the stock codes that I'm kind of more popular ones, the ones that have the most movement. So I'm going to add a filter where my stock code is, we're just going to do a range, greater than or equal to, I'm just going to pick FG, and I'm going to copy that filter, less than or equal to FG, let's just pick 700. And I can do lots of different types of filters, but we're just going to do that. And I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to put the list there. And now what we want to be able to do is look at maybe quantity on hand and reorder point quantity. So I'm going to do my on hand and just kind of build a super function real quickly to show you how easy this is. So let's go ahead and delete one of these filters. We're going to now build a super function. We're going to pull this time from our warehouse values table. So again, I can pull from any number of tables. And I'm going to do an aggregate sum. What do I want to sum? I want to sum on hand, company 0. I'm going to add a filter where by stock code, so I'm going to filter this by stock code, equal to my list. And I'm going to put it there. Now I just, again, realized that, you know what, I really want to do this by warehouse. So let's go ahead and do it by warehouse as well. So I'm going to come back in here to my query tool, and I want to create a data validation list. Now, as you know, in Excel, to do that, I have to pull in a list, go into Excel, create data validation, give it a named range, all of that, all of those steps, and it's not really dynamic most of the time. So we're going to create a data validation list from the warehouse values, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select what do I want the data validation list to be? Well, I want it to be on warehouse description. Click OK. Where are we going to put it? We're going to put it there. And now I've got my warehouses. And let's go back in and add another filter to say, let's go ahead and now filter also by warehouse description equal to my data validation list. Click OK. Let's replace that initial function, and we'll just double click to fill down here. And let's go ahead and now just look at one more function to show you just, we're going to look at reorder point quantity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy this function, come back over here, because everything's the same except the return value. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy it and just respecify reorder point quantity because everything else is the same. And again, we're just going to replace it and double click. And hopefully you can see the power of the query tool. So we just did some pretty quick ad hoc reporting, and it works whether I'm working with Excel data, I'm working with our pre-built connectors, pulling directly from the SYSPRO tables. So you can see here all of the connectors, all of those tables that we referenced in there. These are all pre-built lists. There are no pre-built functions except in GL because there's just so much information here. It's kind of hard for us to kind of decide, you know, dictate what even the pre-built functions would look like. So you've got a lot of stuff here. Notice there's Excel functions. So the ability to, if you wanted to add like report title, some of the syntax for, let's say this report, we had actually redone it for, let's say, year 2010 and, you know, maybe period 5. One of the things you have the ability to do is store any Excel function. And so this is a great use of creating like a report header. This is really designed for GL. But we just put a placeholder where a year goes, placeholder where a period goes, or month. And this allows maybe people not so proficient in Excel to be able to use a lot of the functions and formulas. So you can save reports, you can save your own functions and any Excel functions as well for easy access. So I don't have to continually either remember the syntax or retype the syntax. So looking at all of the suites, there's the distribution connectors here. For inventory, purchase order, sales analysis. You've got your manufacturing, so your bill of material, costing, quotations, work in process, requirements planning, and lot traceability. So a lot of stuff here. And then these are just some of the ability to pull in description functions that are pre-built for you as well. So hopefully that gives you a pretty good feel for the breadth of the integration. I want to wrap this up with showing our distribution solution, but I don't know if there's any questions at this point, but if there are, I'd be happy to take some, and then we will wrap up with the licensing. So I'm going to go ahead.
Yes, Denise.
Yeah. Yes.
We have had an outstanding question that I'm sure everyone would like the answer to, and that is, what is the availability of this solution?
It is now, and we just signed a new agreement with SYSPRO, and we have a really great new distribution arrangement with them. So it is available now. It is available on version 7 of SYSPRO. So this is our version 7 on their version 7, so that's easy. And we are working towards looking at compatibility with version 6, which our old version platform supported, but right now the new release of this product is been released for version 7. We're planning on version 6, but it has not been QA'd on that platform yet. So. Any other questions? Okay, so let's look at, if there are no other questions, let's look at broadcast. So for a lot of our clients prior to using BizNet, distribution for them was a very manual process. Creating PDFs, emails manually every time reports needed to be sent out. This is a tool that can automate that entire process. So what we're going to be looking at is just, again, a report of financial reports, but this is a workbook. What it allows you to do is create a workbook of all the reports you want to distribute and publish. And again, the report workbook, this would be could be financial reports, sales reports, inventory reports, all contained in the same workbook, and you can put all of your reports in here, even though you may not be sending every single report to every recipient. We have the ability to specify that. This workbook is being distributed by region. Again, no limit to the number of parameters, distribution criteria. So you can distribute it by company, department, cost center, whatever you want, salesperson. But we've got a cover sheet here with today's date. I've got an income statement that we're distributing by region, budget report by region, a dashboard. So again, once you've set this up, you're going to just open up the workbook. We're going to be sending it here to just the same folder, but we'll kind of review all the options here. We can, broadcast allows us to take a single set of reports and tailor and specify a unique format, method of distribution, and content. But I'm sending them all to the same folder here, but they can be sent to various places, as well as emailed, as well as a folder concurrently. But once you've just opened up the workbook, you'll come up here to the broadcast ribbon. You'll just simply click Run Now. That will be the extent of your distribution effort every time you need to send out reports, and it's that easy. So it's going to generate, in this example, 4 reports, but they're going to look quite different from each other. And then we'll walk through very simply just how easy it is to set this up. So there's our reports. And we're going to open up the first one, which went just to the South location. And you can see here, we didn't send out all the templates, but it was we sent them the budget report just for the South location and the South P&L report. So this went out with drill down. So it is requires a license. So that is that report. If I look at the other Excel workbook, you'll see here that this one looks quite different. We included the dashboard, and you can see this probably went to management where they wanted to see all regions aggregated and then each region broken out. Again, we have one source template, but I can gen out, as you can see, any number of scenarios. So you can see each of the different reports based on the number, in this case, parameters that were specified. So we had 4 parameters that generated not only 4 income statements, but 4 budget reports here. So you can have any number of parameters. So it eliminates having to have the same report repetitively. So that's what the spreadsheet, and if we look at that same report in a PDF format, you can see it's really a nice presentation. We create a bookmark that's all hyperlinked, so not only can I see all the contents of the PDF, but I can go right to that page. So very easy to do. So let's take a look at just the setup options, and then we'll wrap it up with some licensing. So create your workbook. Very simply, you'll come up here the first time to the Biz Broadcast ribbon. You'll click the new distribution template. It'll add this tab to the workbook, and basically you set up your instructions for the distribution. So it looks very busy, but it's Broadcast does all of the real heavy lifting for you. So this will all be blank. It provides a drop-down box of all available formats. So you can specify the format, allows you to manage different versions of Excel within your organization all the way back to 2003. So format, let me pick one here. Method of distribution, so we send it to a folder. You can send it in addition to that, an email, send it to SharePoint or Portal, something like that. Double click on the path cell, and it launches the browser. You specify the destination, and it populates the cell with the full path name. And if it's going to the same destination, you can simply copy it down, pretty easy. If you use Outlook, You can simply double-click on the email cell. It's going to connect you to all your contacts in Outlook. Just like a regular email, I can specify any number of emails separated with a semicolon, and it'll populate that cell. I could have 50 emails here as long as all 50 are getting the same report. But again, very easy to set up. And this is really where it starts to get really fun. The selection tab allows you to specify who's going to get what tabs, even if they have a preference in order. Again, you double-click on the cell, and it presents all the tabs of the workbook, and you simply just specify who's going to get what tab. So just click OK, and again, it populates the cell for you. So really easy to set up, and you're going to be then specifying the parameters. So again, we just had region in this case, so these went out for individual, and this is how we specified the multi-parameters. So password protect uniquely at the sheet level, the workbook level, or both. And you can do things like all your standard emails. You can even merge in and use, maybe you have PDFs or Excel from other applications. It's a really cool feature because you can create a merged single workbook, a report book, where reports are coming from other sources. So it'll do the merge, and you can manage how you want that merge to look. So that is the broadcast and the solution. Again, everything you've seen me do is in Excel. So if you're comfortable in that environment, you're going to find BizNet extremely easy to learn and intuitive. So let's kind of wrap up with the licensing. And again, please feel free to ask any questions, should you have any at this point. So let's look at just a couple of FAQs. I'll present some for you very quickly. Do you need additional hardware? No. This works with all existing hardware, memory, standard, configurations work just fine. We do not utilize the data warehouse or any of that, so it is very simple to deploy. But how long does it take? Well, it's a click-through process of a few minutes, and so it doesn't take long at all. It's a very simple process. And I think if you feel comfortable working in Excel, hopefully you saw today that obviously there's training available. We have a lot of well-documented applications. There's documentation, there's videos, library, so there's just a lot of reference material. But again, very, very intuitive. And once you learn how to use that query tool, it's really the basis for building any kind of ad hoc or production report. Can I use my existing spreadsheets? That's obvious. That's a great starting point. I recommend that highly because it is. We are Excel, so as I mentioned earlier, we can leverage those existing formats and any Excel functionality. So if you're doing it today in your spreadsheets, because we are native in Excel, it'll work with BizNet. So here's our licensing. The starter bundle is a single user license. It is on a subscription basis. We can tie it to your annual maintenance, and it includes all of the connectors. We no longer break out the modules, so that includes the GL and all of the connectors. You saw it's the entire connector set is included. So that is the annual subscription price, which does include support. The executive bundle is a 3-user license configuration, again with all the connectors for SYSPRO and the publishing capability. And I really feel this shouldn't be an option, but we do make it an option. But the broadcast, I think, makes what would be a very manual process very automated. And so anything at a higher exec bundle, you can contact your SYSPRO sales rep for a executive bundle price. But so that is the licensing, pretty simple. And again, I want to thank everybody for attending, but I'm going to open it up now for any final questions. Okay, well listen, I want to thank everyone for taking and spending this time with me and Lloyd. So again, thank you so much, and here's our contact information. If any of you would like to schedule a one-on-one demonstration or ask any questions in depth, please reach out to your SYSPRO sales rep, or you can reach BizNet directly at sales@biznetsoftware.com. Thank you again for attending, and have a great day. Bye-bye.